You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor, subscribe to the channel, leave your comments below, and be sure to smash that like button.
Yes, LSU plays a bowl game on New Year's Eve. They face Baylor in the Texas Bowl. By now, you know that. But it feels like all eyes are still on the transfer portal for the Tigers, and rightfully so. That is kind of where your focus should be fixed. If you're anything like me, if you're anything like I think the majority of people who follow the LSU program, while, we'll have time for the bowl game on New Year's Eve, your focus is on the future, and the future right now is what LSU's doing in the transfer portal. When last we spoke, LSU was sitting on 13 portal commitments with 2 really must positions remaining, safety and offensive tackle. Well, here we are after the Christmas holiday, and LSU is sitting on 13 transfer portal commitments with 2 must positions remaining, safety and offensive tackle. So what gives a little bit? And, I think you ask that just out of pure human nature, maybe, after the fast start that LSU got off to in the transfer portal. And you look at kind of some of the things that did transpire with LSU targets over the last couple of days, and you're like, okay, well, wait a minute. Are they cooling off, or is this part of a bigger plan? And that's kind of what I want to look into a little bit here today as we start the show. LSU, when it came to safety, the name that was really popping up as of late after Zachariah Poizner committed to Miami was Tawfiq Byard, transfer safety out of the University of South Florida. We had talked about him plenty, a guy who redshirted his first season down there in Tampa, played in 5 games, but still was able to maintain the red shirt because of bowl games not counting to an eligibility, and then in 24 really took a jump, right? I mean, over 50 tackles, started all 12 games, a couple sacks, an interception, really took a jump. Visited LSU, full 2 official day visit, saw bowl practice, met the coaches, all of those things, and over the Christmas holiday committed to Coach Prime in Colorado, so he will not be a part of LSU's 2025 transfer portal class at a big position of need in safety. I think when I look at that, and again, it's always with recruiting, you could fall into a trap of, okay, the guy didn't show up at my school, they never really wanted him. And that's not the direction I'm going to go here, although I don't necessarily think Byard is exactly what LSU was looking for. And again, I think that points to the grander scheme of what they're going for here down the stretch in the transfer portal. Let me explain. While Byard is a very talented player, has starting experience in the FBS, Group of 5, but in the FBS, he's still a little raw. This is a guy with 3 years of eligibility remaining. When you look at what LSU has brought in this transfer portal cycle, what has it been? It has been day one, immediate impact, plug-and-play starter, right? Think Braylon Moore. Think Mansour Delane. Think Nick Anderson, Bauer Sharp. On and on and on and on. Think Patrick Payton. When I look at a guy like Byard, again, while, sure, if he wanted to come here, you would have absolutely taken him, because who's to say he wouldn't have been that guy and couldn't have helped you? I'm sure he could have helped you. The production, absolutely there, but still raw. 3 years left, still maybe a bit of, okay, not the sure thing. If there is such thing as a sure thing, maybe that's not necessarily it. So if you're looking at this from an LSU perspective, it's, hey, we gave our best pitch. The chips fell where they fell, and you move on into the future. What does that future look like, and how much time does LSU really have left? Because it's not just safety. There's also the offensive lineman out of Northwestern, Josh Thompson, that LSU had been linked to heavily, and plenty of people. And again, over the Christmas holiday, Pete Nakos from On3 logged an expert prediction for Thompson to land at Tennessee. Others have followed, and it seems that really all directions point towards Knoxville on that one. So those are 2 targets you were in on, both going elsewhere. What's next? And Thompson, again, multi-year starter, Power 4 level. Sure, you would have loved to have had that. Brian Kelly talked about this when he met with the media last Saturday, when we played you the audio of this on Monday. And he spoke about getting off to maybe a faster start. They had a clear plan that they want to accomplish. They know the direction that they're going. Some of it just happened faster than maybe they even thought. They expected this to be a longer process. And Brian Kelly said now it might be that longer process as they look for a couple of positions left. He would go on to say in that same media availability, the number they really kind of want to hit on is 15 transfers. That leaves you 2 spots. Fill in the blank. Safety, most likely offensive tackle, going to do that. Can those numbers change? Absolutely. They already have throughout this cycle. Remember, it was 12. Now it's 15. You get a couple guys that you really want, and then you need to take a depth piece because LSU's roster turnover might not be done yet either. And that's where the longevity of this comes in, right? The transfer portal December window officially ends on Saturday. That's when the portal closes. But the caveat there is it actually really doesn't, at least not for everybody. For the majority of college football, Saturday's the end. If you're still playing, so including a team like LSU who plays on New Year's Eve, this is bowl teams, this is college football playoff teams. After your last game of the season, your roster has 5 days to enter the transfer portal. So there's going to be more additions. There's going to be more subtractions from certain teams. And there'll be a new bumper crop of players in. And if you're looking at this from an LSU perspective, and Brian Kelly even said in his media availability last Saturday that there's still some guys who haven't made their intentions known that are still playing. So that tells you they've got their antennas up for potential options, and they're waiting for some of those to play out. Those could be guys in the college football playoff, bowl games, whatever. You're going to have that second influx into, call it the December portal window, even though it'll be after December the 28th. What this also does, again, LSU being in that number, playing on New Year's Eve, it gives you a chance to evaluate your roster. You're going to see a lot of young guys play in this bowl game at offensive tackle and safety, whether that be Deshaun Spears, whether that be a guy like Joel Rogers, or Javian Toviano, who they've moved to safety kind of permanently now. You're going to get to see that, and you're going to see where you are. Jordan Gilbert's going to play in the bowl game. What his future might hold after that, who knows? You wait and see, and you'll see really where you need to go. But when you think of LSU's safety room, you think of Rogers, you think of Spears, you think of Osbury, you think of Toviano, you think of a lot of young, inexperienced guys who kind of fit that same mold as Tawfiq Byard. So it makes sense that, okay, you don't go fully all in there. When you look at offensive line, you're losing 4 out of your 5 starters, and all of them are either out of eligibility or going to the draft. I mean, you're looking at 3, 4-year, 5-year guys in some instances even there. You're going to have a lot of young guys play. Paul Mubanga, DJ Chester, Bo Bordelon, Tyree Adams. You've been high on a lot of those guys. You could see Cohen Eccles rotate in there, right? You've been high on Weston Davis. You've been high on a lot of those guys. See where you stand. For me, LSU still needs to go out there and grab a day one starter at safety because that is your weakest position. It's where you were weakest all season on both sides of the ball, and that needs to be fixed. And at tackle as well. And the guys you were looking at, use Byard and Thompson as an example here, didn't necessarily fit that, and you have more coming down the pike. I'm A-okay with this strategy that they're employing. There is no reason right now for any of us to not trust this staff in this portal window. We could talk about what's happened in previous years. Fine. There's been turnover on the staff. There's all of that. In this portal window, with what because they've done everything they said they were going to do. Every promise they put forth, they have met up until this point. They were going to be aggressive. They were going to spin. They were going to fill needs with starters. They've done it all. So you have no reason to trust that they won't continue to do that. Looking forward with safety and offensive tackle, their 2 biggest needs. You got a lot of time left to evaluate your own team and to wait for people who are still playing to officially make their intentions known on what they do. LSU is willing to play the long game here when it comes to the transfer portal after such a fast start, and I'm good with that. Roster building is a science, a calculated science. And they're off to a great start when it comes to 2025. Let's let them finish out the right way and see where that goes. Lot to still be excited about. And you know what? It's cooled a little bit. Not necessarily a bad thing. That shows patience. I really, really like patience. That shows detail. That shows being intentional. Things that Brian Kelly has preached ever since he's gotten here.
Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.